Welcome to the Masters of Resilience podcast. This show is an exploration of the unseen and unheard stories of adversity that shape the journeys of high performers. These conversations will help you better understand the mindset, habits, and behaviors that empower these exceptional leaders to endure the most challenging moments of their careers and emerge stronger than ever. Your hosts are Ryan Seeger and Mark Phillips. Let's dive in to more.
Welcome back to Masters of Resilience podcast. We took a little summer break, but we're back in action today with Greg Denning. Greg is someone who embodies what it means to lead with courage, conviction, and deep integrity. He went from being homeless at 16 to becoming a devoted husband, father of 7, global traveler, mentor, and high-performance coach. He's spent the last 2 decades helping individuals and families build lives of strength, purpose, and adventure that's rooted in faith, discipline, and love. Greg doesn't just talk about resilience, he lives it every day, on every continent, in every challenge. In this episode, we explore what it means to be a man of deep character, how to raise strong and grounded kids in a soft world, and how to design a life you don't need a vacation from. Get ready for this episode. I know you'll enjoy it. Please share, send us some others. That's how we grow. Let's dig into it. Greg, thanks so much for joining us on Masters of Resilience podcast. We're thrilled to have you. Love what you're about and the story that you've been telling and the narrative with Formidable Family Man. Would love to just start with your background a little bit. I mean, dad of 7 kids, traveling, executive coaching. You're in a lot of different worlds. So give us the Greg Denning journey to set the stage here.
And that's the highlight reel for the great stuff, man. So my wife and I have been married 24 years. We have an amazing marriage. It's great. In fact, she and I spent the weekend up in England, went to a friend's wedding and just celebrating our own marriage. It was amazing. It's another getaway there. We have 7 children, 23 down to 8. 8 is the youngest. And we live our unique family dream life, which is traveling the globe, out having epic experiences and adventures together. That's the highlight reel of what we've created. But my story started, my parents divorced when I was real young. Stepdads came and went. 5 more stepdads. So I just saw a lot of failed marriages, failed relationships. And finally at 16, I'm like, man, I'm out of here. I'm going to go try this on my own. And man, it was so hard, fellas. It was so hard. And just the school of hard knocks right out the gates, and just broke. Often didn't have enough money for food. Sometimes didn't have a place to stay, and just saw and experienced terrible things. I mean, things you wouldn't wish on an enemy. And it was just brutal, but that drove the desperation in me because I was super shy and timid and insecure and ignorant. I mean, I had nothing going for me, right? I always tell people, I'm like, man, if you met me when I was 16, 17, you'd have been like, poor guy, hope he'd pull something out for himself. Oh, good luck with life, right? And it was true. I had nothing going, but because I was lonely and I was frustrated and I was struggling and suffering and I hated it. It drove me, man. It made me so hungry, fellas. Like desperately hungry for knowledge and information and insights. So I just kept reading voraciously and studying anything I get my hands on. I started really paying attention, gentlemen. And this is a golden ticket for anybody listening. Just start paying attention to everything. Like what works, what doesn't work. Like start noticing this. And this is what I did first. Like what causes failure? I started literally writing down. I started taking notes. I got a journal. I started writing down like what doesn't work. Like all the failed marriages I saw, all the domestic violence I saw, all the poverty and the frustration and pain. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not teaching that to my kids. Like I'm not carrying that with me. I'm not passing that on to my children. I just started paying attention, and man, it just woke up this insane desire to learn and study and change whatever I had to change in me to create the life I wanted.
So what was the inflection point for you going from running, doing your own thing at 15, 16, 17 to that mindset shift? What was that?
I guess
what was
if I
that
had
for
to
you?
pinpoint an experience, it was like a journey, right? But if I had to pinpoint an experience, it was Christmas Eve, right before I turned 17. I just sat there in a shack of a house in a bad part of town, literally by myself. I had some unstable roommates that were out doing drugs, drinking again, and partying, and I literally just sat there on Christmas Eve by myself. It was freezing cold. I'm sitting there watching my breath. I'm like, this sucks so bad. Like, I want a family. I want to get married, and I want to have an incredible marriage. I want kids. So because of all the things I experienced, fellas, the loneliness was the worst by far. By far. It was being lonely. It was so terrible. And so that, I guess that, I mean, it was over a time and period, but that one is just hit home so hard. I'm like, nope, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to be able to have fantastic relationships and a better life.
And tell us now, so Formidable Family Man, like, what does that mean for you?
To be insanely useful, right? To be an asset. Actually, I do, we live in Portugal now, and we bought this, we bought a big property in a big building so we can host retreats here and trainings. And we have one of them is this, what we call an asset training. Like, you come here to learn how to be an asset, to be useful, to be valuable. Because, and you guys know this already, right? And I think people get it inherently. Being willing to help out and being willing to be useful doesn't actually make you useful. Because if you back away at the first fear or doubt or insecurity, or you lack knowledge, you want to help, but you have no idea what to do, you're not actually useful. And then if you're not capable, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, socially, financially, if you're not capable, then it's easy for us to become a liability. Like, now I'm not only helping in a crazy situation, like, people might have to help me if I'm not in a place to take care of myself and so capable, in fact, that I can take care of myself and I can take care of others in need. So to be a formidable family man for me is to be like, absolute priority, family first, marriage, parenting, really truly put family first, not just say it, but put it first. And then as a husband and a father and a provider and a protector, to be really, truly useful and formidable.
Greg, I've always felt like marriage, and then even more so parenthood, is like a mirror back to our own selfishness and our self-absorption. And I guess my question for you is, you've seen a lot of different versions of these stories. Why is it that being useful and having these abundant relationships in our lives, why doesn't that happen naturally?
And you said that so well. Marriage is that mirror, isn't it? And then kids are all mirrors too.
It's so many mirrors.
The more you have, the more mirrors you got. You're like, okay.
You're in one of those like carnival rooms where you're like, I don't know which way is up, and it's terrifying.
You're like, I'm not getting out of this. There's no escaping. And what a perfect way to become our best selves, man.
Truly. It can be, or it can be a prison. It can be one or the other. It can't, right? So why is it, I guess in my experience, Greg, I feel like more men, when inertia and entropy kick in, like that beautiful reflection isn't what it feels like. It feels like they're trapped. Yeah. And I don't know if you have a perspective on why is it we go that way? Why can't we like fall into the good version of it?
Right. It's definitely easier to fall. Well, it's okay. Here's at least one aspect that I struggled with for years too. It's so easy and tempting to play the victim, to blame, to make excuses. It's like, well, I would, but I had a rough past, or my parents did this or didn't do that, or, it's my job, or it's the government or the IRS or the president, it's the weather. Like, it's so tempting to play the victim. And fellas, I did it. Like, I was the mayor of Victimville. Like, I had every excuse in the book, and I wanted to blame people. And you want to hold on to it desperately. Is like your justification and your rationalization for not being the very best version of yourself. Because to take absolute ownership of that is a massive responsibility, and it's really heavy. And so I think we want to avoid that. We try to shirk it away, because if I get rid of all the excuses and all the blaming, then the only thing left is my own ownership. And then if I have to own every single aspect of my life, that's a heavy burden. Right. But this is what I teach, fellas. And I know you guys will love this and lean into it. And you probably teach it too. Is like, Like you are the king of your kingdom and you're responsible for every single result in your whole kingdom. Like you don't have to do everything. You can outsource it, but you're responsible for every result. And so as people have often said, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And it's a big load, but man, it's the most empowering burden that any man can pick up.
So what are the things, whether it's you personally or it's when you're doing coaching or these trainings, like what are the things that, because I think there are a couple attributes that, Mark and I started, like strength, integrity, like all these things that I think we strive to embody. And I find when I'm rooted, faith is a big thing for Mark and I both. And whether it's faith or it's being in scripture or it's reading books that are going to push us to be better men, like what are the things for you that are like our foundational pillars that you found for yourself or that these other men have used to build these attributes that you think ultimately serve what you just said?
Yeah, same fellas. Faith. So every morning, and I've done this for, I started when I was 18. And so I've done it basically coming up on 30 years. Get up in the morning, spend some time prayer and meditation, spend some time in some sacred text. Mostly for me, it's in the Bible, but I've read every sacred text out there, almost every sacred text out there. Really spending some time with God and some reflecting on the soul and who you want to be, getting really clear about who I want to be. Spend some time in some fantastic books, whatever you want to work on, whatever you need to work on, spend some time in a great book, and spend some time writing every morning. Writing is thinking, and it's challenging, it's difficult, but it's clarifying. And then here's one thing that I added that was absolutely transformative and that I teach my clients. I created this thing called, I call it a philosophy journal. And the only thing that goes in your philosophy journal is your core philosophy. So basically mine is the Constitution of Greg Denning. Like, who do I want to be? How do I want to live my life? Like, how do I treat other people? How do I show up? What are the core values and beliefs that I'm going to build my entire life on? That's my philosophy journal. So I'm not like writing anything about this happened and that happens, like quotes, ideas, thoughts, scriptures, like what is the core, and then reread that thing every single morning, not the whole thing, just bits and pieces of it to remind you who you are. So that day you show up as that man. And so that's that foundation piece that you guys do in the same, like so here's what I love to say, fellas, like it's impossible to get lost if you check the map every single morning. Like, let that just hit home. It's impossible to get lost if you check the map every single morning. And the things that I listed are for me, that's how I check my map every morning.
You got to make sure the map's the right one, though.
Check the map.
Yes.
Well, it's funny you say that because I literally, I don't know. I feel like I spend a lot of time, I try to at least, whether it's scripture or it's other, making my way 10 pages a day or whatever it is. And I'm marking up books, and Mark's probably sick of my texts at this point with different clips. But again, like a couple weeks ago, I started, to your point, like I literally have it right here. It's like every week I have a page. I'm like, okay, whether it's a scripture, whether it's a key quote, or it's like, and my practice is to go back at the end of the week and just like highlight the stuff that stood out to me the most. So then, in theory, I'd have this 52 of these pages, and then you just go through and it's like, to your point, Greg, I think it's so spot on. It's like, that's the philosophy, the Constitution of Greg or Ryan or Mark, or so spot on. I love that.
Greg,
nicely done.
Yeah, I didn't know that, Ryan. That's very cool. Greg, when you, I'm thinking of people in my own life, and I'm thinking of myself in like a season that I was in that felt, I don't know, man. The map felt far away, and it felt fuzzy and blurry, and it was hard to know which way was up. And then, you look at your life and the way you have managed your kingdom has led you to a certain place, and that place is not what you thought it was, right? And there isn't abundance, there isn't flourishing, right? We've all heard the version of this story, but it's really hard in that moment because you either look backwards, you look up, whichever direction you want to look, and it's really hard to imagine a life that looks different. It's really hard to imagine a life where you are a formidable family man. What do you do then? And that's, your version of this was 17 alone in that cold shack, and that's, what a powerful story that is. Others, it might be hey, I'm married and I've got kids and like a career, and I feel like to do something different would be to blow it all up, and I'm unwilling to blow it all up. What does somebody in that predicament do?
Yeah. Man, and as you described that, I was thinking of times in my life, like way after 17, I'm 27 and 37, going, crap,
Right.
what have I done? Like that didn't work out. That business flopped, right? And so I think every man can relate to that at some point of like getting to this spot and think, man, that wasn't what I was anticipating. Or as men have told me, they just feel like they've been in a walking coma for 5 years or 10 years, and then they wake up and like, what am I doing? So as challenging as it is to see the gap between where you are and where you want to be, that is the most important thing we can do. And it is like staring into the abyss. And what could be more terrifying than walking over, looking at the abyss that you're facing, seeing the dragons in there and the monsters and the absolute gut-wrenching work that's ahead. Like everyone wants to look away from that. But that's the one thing we must do as men, is go over and look into the abyss and say, okay, this is what needs to be done. And if we get help to do it, we can collapse time. Like we can collapse time with intensity. Sometimes we think, oh, this is going to take me forever. Well, no, if you get the right leverage, the right strategy, you get great coaching and great help, and you learn from the masters, you can collapse that time. And they can give you like, oh, don't step there and don't go over there. And oh, you need to get across here. Here's how you build a bridge. And we can totally transform our life. So I crazy love helping men go from where they are to where they want to be. Because I would say most men either are experiencing or have experienced the discrepancy between where they are and where they want to be, and thinking that, this isn't where I thought I would be. I wanted to be in a different spot. So whether they want to lose 50 pounds or, double or triple their income, or, recreate their marriage or relationship with their kids or start over, whatever it is, totally doable. Like totally doable. And I wish more men would be willing to just muster the courage to create a new life, to create a new version of themselves. You don't have to blow everything up, and you can do it strategically and kind of, quote, safely. I mean, there's going to be some risk. But dude, if you don't like the career you're in, start building a new one. If you don't,
Greg, is it?
Oh, go ahead.
It's so good. Is it ego or fear that is holding those men in that place?
In my experience, mostly fear, but here, check this out. Maybe you guys will resonate with this. After working with lots and lots of men, I was operating on the assumption that it was fear of failure. But then many men, if not most, when it comes down to it, it's not the fear of failing, it's the fear of looking like a failure. Men are petrified of looking like a failure. Like, hey, if you fail and nobody knew, would you try it? Like, heck yeah, I'd go for it. It's like everybody knowing. And so obviously there's a portion of the ego in there trying to keep up appearances. And man, that's holding us back from the life we could be living.
Right. It's like a combination of both. It's really interesting. Yeah. It's a fear of my ego being dented because I've propped so much of my life up on my ego that if it gets dented, the whole thing might come crumbling down, So
hey, can I share a quick story about that? Your comment was it was so spot on. The insight was good. I remember we were living in Costa Rica, and it just hit me. Like, who am I if I don't have a title? I don't have a position. I remove any letters after my name. I get rid of the neighborhood and the car, maybe even the kind of clothes I wear. Like, what if I strip away all the things that have, quote, been my identity, right? Because that's really not our identity. It's almost a false identity. And I really wrestled with that. I'm like, who am I without all the stuff and things? And that is such a cool exercise to do for all of us, men, women, everybody. Just like, wait, without the positions, without the certifications, without the degrees, without the honors, strip it all away. And who are you as a being?
Mm.
And if we can get to a comfortable, a solid place with that, it's so amazing, man.
Mm.
Because we put way too much value, I think, on all the trappings. And if we strip that away and get down to the core of who we are and who we want to be, man, it's a solid place from which to do life.
Oh, so well said. Yeah, Mark and I have had that conversation a number of times where it's, again, we are involved with others that, again, you're selling your business for X or Y, and again, like that's an amazing journey, and those people have some great stories. But I do think, like, principally just coming down to those the philosophies and living a life that's focused around that is something that we're trying to strive to do and continue to communicate that to others, because I think there's a freedom there. And I don't know that I personally don't know that I'm there yet, because I struggle with that on a daily basis. But I think the constant reminder is super important. And I would ask this too, Greg, are you, like, when you're thinking through these things, do you have a community of men that helps you personally with that, or like how do you deal with that aspect of it?
Yeah. So my own journey, because we were so broke, like we would buy used books, like, and then we'd pay the bills. Like we would books first, and I did that as a young man. And then when I married my wife, like that was one of our very first date. We're like, hey, what are you reading? And she was reading some crazy stuff. I'm like, this is amazing. Okay, you totally get a second date. We're just gonna talk about books. And then our whole dating, our whole engagement, our married life, we were just reading. And even when we got married, we're like, we literally would buy books, fellas, and then try to figure out how to pay the bills afterwards with what was left over. And we were just the bibliotherapy, right? We were gonna glean everything we could from the smartest thinkers and influencers and leaders of across time and space. And so I still read voraciously. I still average a book a week and have for over 25 years.
Jeez.
So that kind of solid input with so many great books out there is a constant for me. And then I actually started a tribe of great men. Because every man needs a tribe of good men, this brotherhood, where we're meeting regularly, having those conversations, having adventures, having the hard talks, this sharpening each other, absolutely critical. So constantly reading, constantly meeting with good men and having those conversations.
I listened to a handful of podcasts, but I was listening to My First Million, which again is a lot of like entrepreneurial discussions. And they had a couple conversations with a handful of billionaires. And I think one of the, and I wrote this down in my notebook, but they said one of the, when people fail, it's because they aren't a student of the game. And I think that's actually like a key aspect, like making sure that you, like, that student in you, whether it's business or it's fill in the blank. Like, I think we all need to be that. We all need to be this, like, taking the time to be the student that's going to help us apply those attributes on a daily basis as a parent, as an entrepreneur, et cetera.
Like the diligent student. I mean, even as you say that, I think of my failures. I was like, duh. Like, I totally screwed that up because I wasn't a student of the game. I did not know what was going on.
For sure. So, Greg, let's talk about the family aspect. When you're thinking about raising kids, I know I'm in the throes of that daily, and how you develop resilient kids that are, able to do hard things. Hard is relevant for a 7-year-old, but like how do you do that? You've had a number of attempts at that, and you continue to do that with 7 kids. So how do you instill that within your own family?
So again, like we put in the time and effort to get really clear. It's like, what do we want our family dynamics to be like? What do we want our family culture to be like? What do we want our family experience to be like? I think too often men and women we don't give it enough time and thought. We just kind of, because we're born into it, we're born into a certain country or culture or neighborhood, and we pick things up from our family and from neighboring families. And so we just kind of go along thinking, oh, that's what you do. So to nobody's fault, you're just like, oh, well, this is right. So nobody even questions it, I guess is what I'm saying. You just come in and you're like, there you go. And unless we get enough exposure to other families and cultures and ways of life, we never even question what we're doing. And luckily, by moving out on my own early And then by wandering around, I started seeing all these, it's like, I remember thinking and like kind of being shocked and frustrated. I'm like, I didn't even know that was possible. Like, I didn't even know, you guys, I was in my 20s before I even realized that entrepreneurship was a thing. The only thing I've ever known was, well, if I want money, I get a job. And if I want more money, I get a second job. Like, that's all I knew. I didn't know anybody who would like, oh, you can start a business? Like, you could do your own thing? Like, it never even occurred to me. So with family life, it's like, well, no, we're going to be deliberate. Like, we're going to pay attention. We're going to read the books. We're going to talk to people. We're going to figure this out. And we want to have the most amazing experience of raising children. Now, of course, it's challenging, but we're going to make it so fun. Like, we're going to have a great relationship with our kids, and we're going to make sure they get a world-class education and are super resilient. And we're going to do it by having a blast. And so as we dug into, I studied teaching for a long time. I studied learning. My wife and I both went deep dive into what learning actually is. And then we realized, man, it's like, okay, you get it from study and from experience. I'm really simplifying it. But if you can get your kids to love books and love learning, and then make sure they have insane amounts of the best experiences possible, then you have that combination of, the learning and the experiential. So for us, we're like, okay, let's make sure we go travel the whole world. Let's see everything we can and take books with us wherever we go, right? Just devouring books. So my daughter, she just turned 18. In the last 2 years, she's read like 270 books. I mean, solid books, right? And then she's in Norway right now, and she was in Hungary last week, and like, she's all over the place, having these awesome experiences, really pushing her. Last year, they climbed Kilimanjaro as a family, and we're going in September. We're going back up to the base camp of Everest. So for us, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to have like the best experiences possible combined with the best learning and educational experiences possible.
So what are you doing at a young age? So like, I'm thinking like sub 10 years old to, again, you're getting varieties of emotions at that level.
Yep.
So what?
He was literally tapping from personal experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It may have happened last night. But
right.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, what are you doing to, the kid's 5, 7, 10, like, again, where it's like, it's this irrational situation. Like, obviously it's like, okay, what can we do to take baby steps to get to that level? Like, again, I would love for my 18-year-old to be traveling the world and having these experiences that are going to be transformational. But like, what do you do at that stage of life?
Yeah. So we started traveling, you guys. This is nuts. Like, you look back and you're like, that was insane. We adopted our first, and then Rachel got pregnant right afterwards, and we had 3 kids like really close together. So we had 4 kids. Like, she was 4. Our oldest was 4 when our 4th child was born. So it was packed. It was wild. And that's when we started traveling. We loaded up our car and we drove the Pan American Highway to Costa Rica. Okay. It was ridiculous. I felt more like a pack mule than anything else, carrying kids and stuff. And it was wild. But
Mark, we got to get to work here.
Yeah. I agree.
So it was so much work, but here's where I'm going. I remember we were taken to the coolest place. I remember the day distinctly. We took our kids to Luxembourg, and there was like museums and war history and architecture. I'm like, you guys were in Luxembourg, and our kids look up and they're just like, "Do they have a park?"
Oh gosh.
And I was like, they just want to go to the park. So we found this park. It ended up being a really cool park. The whole park was like this pirate ship. But they just wanted to go to the park. They wanted to play. And I thought, we're going to keep doing it. Will they remember that experience? Nope. Will they remember the museums and the beaches and the waterfall? Nope, they won't. But the experiences are formative, and they're creating neural connections in their heads. And they're constantly from birth interacting with different races and religions and cultures and traditions and backgrounds and places. It's all becoming a part of who they are. And so we decided, we're going to go anyways. And so with the little ones, it actually ended up being more work for us, right? So for example, I would take them out hiking, and we're walking, and I encourage them to walk as far as they can, and then I carry them the rest of the way. And so there's times when I was carrying 2 and occasionally 3 kids, and I'm grinding and I'm sweating. My kid's right there enjoying the hike, looking at me, seeing how much I'm pushing my limits. So 10 years later, when they're teenagers, they know how it's done.
Right.
And they push hard and they do awesome things. So we take them anyways, right? And of course they get tired and they get hungry and they have meltdowns, and you handle it smoothly and you make it as enjoyable as possible at their level. But fellas, I think we grossly underestimate what kids are capable of in a positive way. So it's not negative. We never force our kids to do anything, or rarely force them to do it. But so with the little ones, man, they can still do the coolest things, and they're absorbing way more than we think.
Yeah, I love that a lot. How do you balance your work, Greg? You're traveling. You just talk a little bit about the rhythms there with Formidable Family Man, and maybe touch a little bit on how you want your kids to perceive the identity that you build for yourself through your entrepreneurial endeavor.
Yeah, man, I hope my kids will all, and I think they will, I hope they all become entrepreneurs and investors. Because I mentioned before, I grew up thinking employee is the only way to go, and I just have to accept what they pay me, and I hope somebody gives me a job. And I'm telling my kids, no, man, it's harder work, but write your own ticket and become investors from the get-go. And so my kids are already investing, right? They're in their teens and they're already making investments, their own money. I'm like, yes. I didn't do that till I was in the 30s. Go. So I want them to do that. So the work balance is, I put family first to a fault, gentlemen, because I wanted to mean that. And so Rachel and I, and this has been hard. There's been many points of struggle along the way where we said, okay, we could neglect the family to really grow the business, or the business will struggle because we're really focusing on our family. And we always chose family first. So financially, there have been more difficult times, at least for us in our journey. There are more difficult times financially than there ever have been with family, because we put family first. Many people, if not most, put money first, and then family really struggles and suffers, sometimes irreparably, where marriages fall apart or kids grow distant and the relationship doesn't heal. So we kind of build that in, where family first and then work. But when we work hard and we try to work on the most important things. And so we, I guess maybe a picture of our kind of daily rhythms might be helpful. We try to get to bed at a decent hour and get solid sleep. Get up in the morning, and every one of us, all of us now, the kids are old enough, every person has their individual morning routine. These morning rituals we do to take care of ourselves, like self-improvement, self-care, just make sure body, mind, and spirit is getting nourished and cared for every morning. And then we all work out together. We built a nice gym here at our place, so we all work out together. But wherever we are in the world, we went and we backpacked all through Scandinavia and the Baltic states and Turkey and Egypt. And wherever, any Airbnb or hotel, we just get a workout in, man. Just go out back and just get a rad workout in. So then we come in, we do breakfast together, and what we call our family devotional, where we're discussing great books, reading from scripture, having conversations, just really, really engaging in thought. And then at that point, the kids go into their studies, kind of self-directed studies, and Rachel and I do our work through the afternoon. And then evenings, we're back into together time, adventures, projects, cool things like that. So that's kind of a daily rhythm that we've held for years.
And let's talk a little bit about marriage for a minute, because I think, obviously you and Rachel, you said, yeah, you guys are setting the tone, I think, for clearly a family that's focused on the right things. What are some of the ways that you prioritize that, and what does that look like for you guys?
Yeah. Good question. We connect every day. So lots of talking, especially the vast majority of men know that wives want and need to talk. And so men need to be really great listeners, like really great listeners. That's the one piece of advice I could shout from the rooftops, like, just listen, learn to listen to your wife, and she'll process out loud. So spend a lot of time listening, talking, connecting, lots of expressions of love, lots of I love you, lots of touch points throughout the day, holding hands, sitting next to each other. We make sure we go on a date every week. We try to do an overnighter maybe every month or every other month. And then here's one of our all-time favorites, fellas, when the kids are old enough. We do a honeymoon trip every year, like 10 to 14 days, just the two of us every year, somewhere epic. And just reconnecting and remembering it's like we're a man and a woman in love. This is how it all started. This is what matters the most. And so we're really pouring into each other and really trying to stay aligned, get on the same page, have shared goals and dreams, like truly investing in the marriage. Because in my experience, I've found if you're not working on your marriage, then by default, you're working on your divorce. You're either getting closer or you're separating. It's like this law. Life is lived on an incline, right? And so if you're not moving forward, you're going to be sliding backwards.
I feel this, and I imagine there's people listening, Greg, that are like, I can't do all that, like it's amazing. And I know, of course, it's brick by brick, right? Like you didn't do all this day one, but you set out with a goal, you set out with intention. And that's what's really striking me from the way that you talk about the rhythms you've put in place. But talk to that guy that's feeling like, man, I'm happy for you, Greg, but that's not my life, man. I live in suburbia, like we got all this stuff going on. I got kids' soccer games every week. Like, talk to that guy. What should he be thinking?
Yeah, good. And yeah, I hope each man. So I tell my story as an example of what's possible. Not that anybody should do my life, but like every man should have their unique dream. So some guy wants a ranch, and another guy wants an apartment in Paris, and another guy wants to travel all over. And great, fantastic. Like whatever your unique dream is as a family, go make it happen. And I just say, like, I like sharing mine because I'm like, I went from where I was to where I am and to where I'm going. Like anybody can do this, but it's going to look unique for each guy. So you take a step back, and if you're like, okay, we got soccer and music lessons and this and that and the other in the job, just sit down today when you're listening to this and just start jotting down some things in a journal or notebook. It's like, what is it I really want? What do I want most? And make this hierarchy of value, make a pyramid of like, what are the most important things in my life down to the least important things in my life. And what's really fascinating about that is you start noticing right away, it's like, no, this is the most important. And then we have this golden test. I realized that years ago, I asked myself, I'm like, wait a minute, what if my life were a silent film? Like, no talking, right? What if my life were a silent film? What would be obvious to the viewers that are the most important things in my life? Right? And that just eliminates anything I say. And it gets down to the bare bones of like, what am I actually doing? And that was such a wake-up call for me, because I'm like, man, if somebody's watching a silent film, they're going to be like, bro, watching TV is really important to that guy. He spends tons of time on his phone. This is crazy. Right? And so you start realizing, it's like, wait a minute, what's important, what's not important? And for me, I was an athlete. I still am an athlete. I play sports. I love watching sports. But I realized watching sports was wasting time that I could be spending with my wife or my children. So I just stopped. Even though I wanted to watch sports, I was like, the exchange rate there isn't worth it to me. I want to do it, but does it show up on my hierarchy? And I'm like, no. So I started saying no to the things that were lower. And fellas, like, it opened up a whole world of opportunity to invest in the things that matter most to me. So in reality, it's like the best way to win is to live a truly prioritized life.
I was reading something recently. I can't remember where I read it, but I think it aligned right to what you were saying, Greg, where it's like, okay, you understand what's that hierarchy and what are kind of the big rocks, so to speak, whether that be like annual goals or 5-year goal, whatever it is. And making sure that like the lens in which you're making decisions is in alignment with whatever those are. And again, sure, there's going to be things where you maybe don't do that. But I was saying that to my wife last night, like just making sure like life is crazy. Like again, it's crazy right now. It's going to be crazy later. You go to the next phase. It's got its own different things, but making sure that whatever we're saying yes to is in alignment with whatever, we said were key priorities as we started the year. I just think it's such an important, and I fail on that probably more than I succeed, but again, or else I end up doing a bunch of stuff that I'm like, wow, spent whatever time on social media or the TV or like whatever, where I could have been, I could have taken 45 minutes and been more intentional to accomplish whatever was going to be supportive of the major goal, and I just think that's important for people to hear. And when you fail, because inevitably we all will, it's just like it's going back to the map. It's going back to the map.
Spot on. Yeah. When you get in there, you're like, man, I spent 300 hours watching Netflix. Like, okay.
Or like the screen time app on the phone is like the screen time app is like the biggest, I guess, eye opener. It's like, wow, I spent how much time on that app?
Talk about a mirror. Talk about a mirror selfishness. Yeah.
It's completely insane.
Greg, does with the amount of intention you've brought to your life, does the fear and the ego go away?
No, but I feel like it's easier to keep it in check or to starve it, right? If I'm like overwhelming my mind and my heart and my life with intention and purpose and filling it with good things, it leaves so little space for ego and fear and laziness and, unending entertainment. It's like, no, man, if my schedule is packed with super cool stuff, there's not space for me just to be sitting around doing things of little value. And so it's kind of a hack. It actually makes it easier to succeed when I fill my life with really good things.
That's a really powerful framework. Because I want to unpack that. I've actually reflected on a similar point recently, which is I think when it comes to sin in our lives, it's really easy to try to manage it. And, that can be anything that people don't want to be doing. I mean, from a faith perspective, that's pretty specific. For those that are listening that aren't necessarily like familiar with the idea of sin, it's like, well, I wish I hadn't done that thing. I wish I hadn't spoken in that way. And I think it's so easy to try to manage that, Greg. But instead, what you're saying is it's not about managing that, because if we're simply trying to manage it, we're going to lose. We're going to be bombarded every day with the things that we don't want to be doing. Instead, you're saying, it is through intentionality. I'm filling my day. I'm packing my day with goodness.
Yeah.
And when that goodness is present, the things that are full of fear and ego, they actually tend to fade away.
Yeah. You starve them.
You
starve them. Feed and nourish the other things and starve those. Yeah, because think about the ridiculous amount of self-discipline it takes to not look at porn or something or get into addiction if I'm just sitting there with nothing to do. I'm bored.
Yeah.
I'm frustrated. I have my phone. I'm scrolling online. I see these pretty girls. I'm like walking myself into trouble. But if my days, my weeks are just packed with the coolest things, like I love my life. I don't even have time. It doesn't cross my mind. I don't have time for that. I'm not sitting around like I'm actively living. And so the space for trouble and mediocrity and garbage is so small. It's easy to just like, no, I'm not doing that. And it's easier to keep it out of your life.
Man, I think that is like so good.
Yeah.
I'm so convicted by that. That's and I think the creature comforts of our society and our culture and our world, they drive people to the negative side of that equation, right? Like you don't need to grind. Like you've earned this. You've earned it, right? Like instant gratification, all the things. And it's a trap. It's a straight up trap.
Dude, that's why I love discomfort. I crazy love discomfort. Because if I ever find myself like, I could take it easy. I deserve this. Like, whoa, what? What do you? Go get in that freezing cold water right now. Snap yourself out of that crap. What are you talking about?
Amazing. Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome.
And so like that's another thing we put in just as a way of being. We build in really uncomfortable things into our lives on purpose. And we love it. We have so much fun. One year in December, we went to the very top of Norway. So we're 225 miles north of the Arctic Circle. And they have these floating saunas. And so we're jumping in the water. It is like, it's so cold. Like I've jumped in mountain lakes. I'm in cold places, right? It is so cold. Like every part of you hurts. It hurts so bad. And when I got there, there was this just absolutely shredded Viking got out of the water. He was like, look, man, he's like, whatever you do, don't get out because of the panic. You get out when you decide to get out. And I was like, yes.
This is my guy.
Yeah. And you're in the water and it's hurting so bad. And my whole family did it, guys. The little kids, my wife, everybody did it. And you're staying in and it's mind over matter. And you're staying in as long as you can. And why? Why would anyone do that? It's crazy. But what you're doing is you're fortifying yourself. You're strengthening yourself. Why would you go hike Kilimanjaro? Because the last day is horrible. Like it's so hard on the high mountains and the high altitude. And why are you going to go into the deep jungle? And why are you going to do these ridiculous walks across the planet? Well, to see what you're capable of and to keep yourself in check. I think everybody should just regularly just go sleep outside on the ground. Just do it. Just go get as cold as you can. Go get as hot as you can. Just go find the extremes so you check yourself, because otherwise you start whining and you're like, oh man, it's so hot. And you're like, bro, it's only 75 degrees. What? It's not so hot. Like what? Where do you live? What do you do with yourself? Like we got to push those limits because it expands our perspective and our reality.
Yes. It's well said. I read something this morning. I'm reading Ryan Holiday's book, Discipline is Destiny. He said, we will taste pain on this journey, but we must keep going. Just like that's a freaking awesome quote to read before I start my day. And it's just like, I couldn't agree more. I might need that trip itinerary from wherever you guys went, but it's awesome.
Yeah. It's just go get uncomfortable. And if you do it, here's the absolute hack, fellas, for dads. Make the pursuit of discomfort and hard things look attractive. If I'm smiling and laughing and having fun while doing really hard things, my kids look at that and think, I want some of that. I want in on that. And I'm like, hey, it's hard. Like your legs are going to burn. Your lungs are going to burn. It's tough. And they're like, I want it. I want in. I want it. But if I'm grumpy and whining and complaining and moaning at the long phase, like, this is so hard, it's so terrible, then my kids look at it and think, I don't want anything to do with that. Like, I want to stay as far away from discomfort as possible. So we have to make doing hard things attractive.
I love that.
It's good.
So, Greg, as we start to bring this home a little bit, you've said so many great things in the last 47 minutes or so. What's kind of if you were to give us a couple major things in the Greg Denning playbook that we had to leave with somebody, what would those things be?
I give credit to God for this because I don't know how I realized it without him. But I was 17 when I realized, man, nothing in my life will get better until I get better. Like it all hinges on me. And so it just dawned. I'm like, wait a minute. Like that's the key. Like I have to work harder on myself than I do on anything else. And so like I just got on this lifelong pursuit of personal growth. Every day, get a little bit better, learn something new, work on myself. And I've found that as I as a man become a better person, then it cascades into everything else. I'm automatically a better husband, a better father, a better provider, a protector, and businessman, and and servant and philanthropist, like just because I'm the equation. And each of us is the equation, right? When you show up to something, it's like you're bringing whatever you have to offer. And if I have more to offer, wow, that's the ticket. So I just leaned into that. It's like, I'm going to work harder on me than I do on anything else. And I'm going to do it every day. I'm just going to work on me. And so obviously it's the reading and you're working out, staying fit. I set just a personal commitment. Like we have to set standards, right? I guess here's the piece too, is like, I set standards in my head, really high standards. And I don't hold others to these standards. I don't hold my family to these standards. These are my standards. And they're not from my church or they're not from some other person. Like these are mine. Like I learned a lot of them from other places, but they're mine. And when I hold myself to those high standards and I live by them, people can see the results and the results do the talking. So my way of being or the way I want to do life is I want to set really high standards and then set up my life with clear systems to make it easy to live by my standards. So one of them is like, I want to be able to see my abdominal muscles my entire life, right? At any moment, I want to be able to walk out the door and run at least a 5K and do 50 push-ups at any moment in my mortal existence. Right? That's a bare minimum. Because I want to be useful. I want to be helpful. I want, get some medical skills and some self-defense skills and, the fitness to be able to help out. And there's been so many opportunities to help people, to serve, to make a difference because I'm constantly striving to live by my own personal standards.
Love that. I feel like there's so many, men and women, but people that just don't live that way. It's like the easy button. Yeah. So true.
Mm-hmm.
And Greg, we would be remiss if, given how many books you've read, you didn't have a couple recommendations.
Oh yeah, we gotta hear that.
So, what are you currently in, or is there one or two that just stand out above the rest? I gotta hear it.
So after I'm well over 1,000 books, right? And so I had these favorites, and then I realized I started having favorites in like every genre. So I have what I call my Bible series for spirituality, for business, for health and fitness, for family, right? So I got a great book list that I put together. But some of the books that have changed my life the most that I constantly revisiting, it's As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. It's absolutely solid. I read that book and I reread it multiple times, and I thought, I want to make this a part of who I am. And so I read a page or two every morning from his book. And I did that for over 2 years. I just kept going again and again and again, just until it became a part of me. And it was so transformative. There's another one called The Majesty of Calmness by William George Jordan. It's absolutely phenomenal. One Thing by Gary Keller. I got tons, man. I got business books and personal development books, but there's so many great books out there. We just got to be reading, constantly reading.
Do you tend to consume more? I'm looking at both those books. As a Man Thinketh, they're older, written, I think, early 1900s.
1800s. Early 1900s, early 1800s,
okay. Yeah, sure. So do you tend to skew more towards older literature? Is it a little bit of everything?
No, I got everything. I'm trying to get across time and space into other cultures and books that just came off the press and the old books that are like, there's a reason this is still around. Like they have things figured out. And I realized if we go across culture, we go across space, and we go across time, that's the best way to get wisdom.
Yeah.
What are some of the new ones that you've been publishing?
Well, right now, sitting on my desk is the Let Them Theory by Noel Robbins. I'm going through that one. That's great. I like Ryan Holiday's books. But you guys, oh man. So my wife and I spent the weekend up in England, and we went to Cambridge and Oxford. It was amazing. First time for me. It was so rad. But they have these bookstores everywhere. Oh, these little old bookstores. And so I went in there and they had all this collection of these old leather books, and I just started buying up books. I'm like, I got to
Kid on Christmas right there.
Luggage.
Yeah.
Like I'm just
you are a rare creature for books, Craig. There's a few people like you, but not many, my friend.
So what, bro? Like having a personal library is one of the best things you can have and pass on to your family. But anyways, I got bookshelves full here, and I'm reading business books. I love Alex Hormozy, right? His business strategies are fantastic. So I'm reading those, and he's got a new one coming out and excited about. And so yeah, I'm diving in whatever I'm interested in or whatever I need. I'm turning to a book. And it doesn't like it seems crazy Herculean, but if you put in 30 minutes a day, either actual reading with a book in hand or on audiobooks, like every time I run, cycle, or drive, I have an audiobook on. I go through dozens of books every year just by a little bit of drive time or running.
Yeah, it's easy. It's a powerful framework. Greg, one last question for you, which is, and you've answered it a little bit, but I want to synthesize it as hard as you can. If you could go back and tell 17-year-old Greg in that cold shack one thing, if you could give him one piece of advice in that moment, what would it be?
Start your own business, man.
Nice.
You can work for yourself. I wouldn't believe him. Like, no way, it's not possible.
Love that.
Because I was hungry for a relationship, and I just knew I'd be married and do family life. But I just worked. I don't know. Maybe not. You know, my journey it was important the way it was. I actually ended up spending years just teaching religion, and what a foundation to just seriously deep dive into scriptural studies. And I wouldn't have done that if I'd gone off, started a business and pursued money. But to have that scriptural foundation at this core, it was a beautiful journey.
That's great.
So it was good. And you know, and you think you'd want to take away the hard things, but gentlemen, the worst days of our lives sometimes become the best days. It's like the most terrible thing that happens is like the most important thing that could happen. And I look back now like with so much gratitude for the things I suffered, because it made me who I am, and it gives you this empathy and understanding for other people, and the struggle you go through like softens your heart. Well, it can. Sometimes people get bitter. So I guess there's a framework. You can get bitter or you can get better. That's it. Bitter, better. I'm like, why be bitter? Somebody had me a quote one day. It said, bitterness is a poison you swallow hoping your enemy will die. I'm like, I'm killing myself. And I was so angry. I had so many grudges. I was so mad at everybody. And I'm like, I'm done, man. And I left it all back there. If we could go back in time together right now, somehow like take this journey back, you get back to like I was like 19 or 20. And I just left it all back there. We'd find this big pile of all the stuff I just left back there. I just decided to forgive and let it go. Yeah. And I had a crazy temper, like a bonkers crazy temper. I left that back there because it would have ruined my family. Like, yeah, that's good,
Greg.
So where can people keep tabs on Formidable Family Man, Greg Denning? What are the outlets?
So my wife and I do a podcast together called the Extraordinary Family Life Podcast. And then I do a podcast as well called the Formidable Family Man. And then formidablefamilyman.com, or I'm on social. Just love answering questions, sharing ideas. Like part of my life mission, second to my family, is to just help men, help families. We do a lot of coaching for couples, a lot of parenting coaching. We have a new parenting course out. Oh, fellas, a book. My first book is finally out.
Yeah.
I just got it to the printers. So I recorded the audiobook, ebook's done, and I just got it to the printer. So they printed the first vision. The first version of it. It's en route across the ocean, coming over to me.
Wow.
The Formidable Family Man. So it's something.
That's the release date on that.
It's out. So it's out. I got to get my page up. All we're waiting is for me to put my landing page up, and then it's available and it's ready. People can order it and print it and get it shipped out.
That's great. We'll throw all that stuff, all those good hot spots in the show notes for sure.
Perfect.
So people can keep tabs. But Greg, seriously, man, this is I know we've kind of only known each other for a short time via email and now this, but seriously, it's so fun to find people that are fighting the good fight and staying focused and having a level of intentionality that we strive to have. And I know it'll impact people for sure. So
that's what I was just about to say to you two. This has been a real joy, and I can tell you guys you're we're cut from the same cloth and wanting to do the right thing and live as good men. And thanks for what you're doing. And kudos to you guys for how you're leading your families and your businesses and showing up in the world. Like, man, there's few things as important as good men being good men. It's what's keeping bad men in check. And with men, there's this societal force to keep men weak or make them weak. And it's a genuine and real threat to society. And
well said.
Like I just can't be emphasized enough how important it is for good men to be good men and to be useful, to be assets.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're fighting against here.
Perfect.
Men and women, whatever. It's what we're about. So thanks for spending time with us, brother. We appreciate your time and all you're about. So
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks for engaging with this episode of the Masters of Resilience podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a friend or colleague. Stay up to date on all the latest episodes and get exclusive resources at mastersofresilience.com. We'll see you next time.